has just been reported today that Caitlin Clark could receive a Lionel Messi-like offer to play in Unrivaled startup 3-on-3 league, which is a full court press to sign her. Unrivaled League needs Caitlin Clark, and they are preparing to offer her a massive deal. But is it all too little too late? Now, Unrivaled, like we've talked about in previous videos, it's a 3-on-3 league. It starts up in January. 30 players go to Miami. They play there for 6 weeks, and it was just announced recently that Unrivaled struck a television deal with TNT.
When the biggest star in women's basketball gets an offer almost triple her WNBA salary for less than half the work, Caitlin Clark might be about to change the entire sport with one signature.
Unconfirmed report that said that all this money might not be guaranteed to Unrivaled and that they do have viewership goals for this first season and seasons to come. Now, this exclusive media rights deal is reported to be 45 plus primetime games. TNT Sports are also invested in the league, and sources say that it's a 6-year deal that could be worth more than $100 million. So if that is true, then that's something to keep in mind when we talk about the offer that might be given to Caitlin Clark. Now, this is also interesting to me because I feel like it is kind of late in the game to start recruiting Caitlin Clark.
We're talking $220,000 for just 8 weeks compared to barely $78,000 in her second WNBA season. But here's the real kicker: if she leaves, she could drag millions of fans with her. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Now, I also said in previous videos that I thought that Caitlin Clark is needed for this league. It should be one of their main goals is to get her to play in the league no matter what that costs, no matter what that is going to take. I wish that they would have come out publicly. The Unrivaled League has 26 of their 30 players already, and they have been announcing players for the past 3 months. And there has been speculation throughout the entire WNBA season if Caitlin Clark would be joining Unrivaled in the off season, and been like, hey, she is one of our biggest goals for this league. We want her there. We think that she would be great for the league. We want to welcome her fans to the league, but they didn't do any of that. And in the same vein, they were also liking negative comments about Caitlin Clark from the official Unrivaled basketball.
This isn't just about one contract. It's about a league that's paying players what they're worth and what that means for the WNBA's future. Imagine this: you're the most talked about player in basketball, the kind of name that sells out arenas and spikes TV ratings overnight, and you're still making less than a guy who barely steps on the floor in the NBA.
She said, it's just so crazy because the growth that Caitlin has brought to the game, the sheer amount of money that she's making these teams, people are having to move their venues when she comes to play, and she's getting paid like $75,000 a year. We're just not a good look. So to have the tides turn 180 at this very moment, right now, right when the TV deal was announced, maybe there is something to say about now they have this deal, they want to keep this deal, now they're realizing we might need Caitlin. She should be one of the top paid players in the world just for the sheer numbers that she's bringing. And I'm glad that a WNBA player is finally saying this out loud, admitting to it, because it has been so clear for so many people, the Caitlin Clark effect.
Now picture another league sliding a contract across the table that's almost triple that pay, and you only have to play for 8 weeks instead of an entire summer. That's the spot Caitlin Clark finds herself in right now. Clark's WNBA deal in her second season is sitting just over $78,000. For most of us, that's a solid paycheck. But for someone whose games can pull in nearly 2 million viewers, it's a drop in the bucket compared to the attention and revenue she's bringing in. We're talking about a player whose jersey sold out within hours, who has arenas adding extra seats just to fit more fans. On court, she's the highlight clip factory, the person every network wants to feature.
List goes on, but there have been so many players, coaches, media personality who have been so afraid to just admit the fact that Caitlin Clark has been the sole reason for, we have talked about it so much on this channel, she has raised overall viewership. Like Nafisa said, they're changing venues just to accommodate all the fans who want to come watch Caitlin Clark play. So many of these things happening this season in the WNBA. And so I'm really really glad that Nafisa, being confident enough in herself, knowing that she is arguably the best player in the world, she is able to say these things out loud.
But her contract barely scratches six figures. Now here's where it gets wild. Unrivaled, a new league grabbing attention fast, is offering $220,000 for an 8-week season. That's just the base. Win the championship? There's bonus money. Land extra sponsor deals through them? That's more cash stacked on top. You play fewer games, avoid the heavy travel grind of the WNBA schedule, and still walk away making way more than the best players in that league. It's a direct, brutal comparison staring the WNBA in the face. Her numbers prove her worth. When she's on the floor, broadcasts can hit 1.8 million viewers. That's the kind of number sports networks celebrate. But when she was out injured, we saw the dip. It wasn't subtle. The buzz around the game slowed down, the average fan tuned in less. That means she's driving eyeballs, advertising value, ticket sales, the whole machine. And she's not the only one in that position. Someone like Paige Bueckers stepping into Unrivaled in the future could crush her WNBA rookie paycheck in a single short season. This isn't just about one player's paycheck. WNBA players have been speaking up for years about wanting higher salaries, a real share of league revenue, and better treatment during travel and recovery. Every push for change moves slow because the league says it's still building its financial base. But now, a rival league is dangling deals that instantly reset the market without a collective bargaining marathon. For Clark, this could be more than take the money and run. If she entertains the offer, it's a shot of leverage like we haven't seen in women's sports. She could force the WNBA to match or at least close the gap, not just for herself, but for the stars who will follow. Once one top player jumps leagues, the floodgates open. Part of the problem is the WNBA has never really stood on its own financially. Almost 3 decades in, it's still supported by NBA funding. That's kept it alive, yes, but it's also meant growth has limits based on what the parent league decides is a priority. Unrivaled doesn't have that tether. They've built themselves on the idea of giving the biggest names what the market says they're worth right now, and it's working. And here's the kicker, they pulled in $27 million in their first season and came close to breaking even. That doesn't happen for sports startups. Usually, you're deep in the red for years. The fact they're this close to profit this fast shows they can actually back these contracts without it being a flashy PR stunt. That's the kind of number that makes players, agents, and sponsors pay attention. The WNBA has to be looking at this and wondering how long they can hold on to their top names. If Unrivaled can keep pulling in money and giving players better pay, shorter seasons, and the shine of being the main attraction, you can see the shift coming. And if the league structure doesn't change, more and more stars might start asking themselves if loyalty is worth leaving that much money on the table. Whether Caitlin Clark takes that offer or stays in the WNBA, the game is already changing. When players start moving toward where they're